Excellent open videos.
Already starting off high. Welcome to the Oxford Podcast, presented by Boot Crew Media and sponsored by Maker's Mark. I am your host, Cruz Oxenrider, as always joined by the co-hosts, Nick Perkins, Nikki P, intern Bond Snow, and Wyatt is in the cave. Boys, we finally did it. It is week 1. College football is here. It's back. It's time to have no responsibilities on Saturdays and drink and eat and watch football before we pass out.
Week 1 preview show. Happy to be here. Obviously, we're as professional as humanly possible. Bond's throwing up Twitter videos at the beginning of the show, and Cruz is laughing at him. So nothing but professionalism here. So that's what you can expect for the whole season.
Big J journalism, I'm telling you. That's how
That's
we do
right.
it. We do it for the people. We really do. So, yeah, week 1's here. We're excited. Some really big matchups in week 1. I'm talking like SEC versus Pac-12. We're talking SEC versus Pac-12 again. We're talking ACC, SEC, some, not so hyped matchups, but it involves our alma mater. So we're excited, man. Let's get into this. Utah versus Florida. This is one of the more intriguing matchups to me. Utah is everyone's darling and everyone's dark horse to get into the college football playoffs this year. Florida, first year under Billy Napier, Anthony Richardson starting QB. I think this is going to be a really good game. I think this is probably one of the more underrated games of the week. You guys know how high I am on Utah this year. I have them making it into the playoffs. I have them as my 3 seed. I think they're the 3rd best team in the country. Or actually, I'd say they're my 4th best team in the country. I would say it's Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Utah's there. I would put Utah over Clemson right now. A&M. I know a lot of people will find that crazy, but I have a lot of faith in this team. They impressed me towards the end of the year, defending Pac-12 champs, going to the Swamp. And Nick, Bond, this is a crazy place to play. It's one of the loudest stadiums in the country. It's a night game, and it's going to be hot.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's the key that I feel like people are forgetting here is it's early September in Florida. That place is going to be 95 degrees outside, probably 100 degrees on the field. I know Utah can get pretty hot too, but I think that's going to be the key for this game is Florida's used to that weather. Utah might not be so used to that. So, and I honestly, I love this Anthony Richardson kid. I really, really do. I love this kid so much. I've seen highlights of him. You've told me about him. I actually am not very big on Florida this year. I think they're going to be okay. I see them doing like 8-4. But man, they got a chance to knock off a really good Utah team this week. And you get them at home. If this was a neutral site, you'd have to go Utah, I feel like. I think they're the overall better team. But, man, Anthony Richardson, he's a stud. You get him at home. It's going to be hot. It's going to sold out stadium. It's going to be rocking. You got to go Florida here, I feel like.
You're going Florida?
I'm going Florida, 2.5.
Wow. See, I think it's going to be close. So, right now, the spread on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, it's Utah minus 2.5, which I think is kind of disrespectful to Utah. Don't get me wrong. Like Florida it's a tough place to play, and Florida is historically a good program. But I mean, look what happened last year. They were a disaster after the Alabama game. Dan Mullen gave up on this team. Emory Jones wasn't a good quarterback. Anthony Richardson was just
unproven.
Missouri last year.
Yeah, I mean that was a bad loss. That was a bad loss. But I mean, when you lose the locker room like you do, like damn, I mean he lost the locker room. We saw it with Texas last year. Sark lost the locker room, and they were just a terrible team, even though having crazy good talent. So I mean, but I think the difference here is getting them at home. Usually, a home field advantage is about 3.5, 4 points, especially this early. So I think I wouldn't fault you for going Utah just because I do think they are overall the better team. But man, there's something about playing in the Swamp, dude, that it's hard to come out of there with a win.
It is true, but you know how high I am on Utah this year, and there's no way one of my playoff picks is going to lose in the first week.
See, that's my thing. A lot of pressure.
To an unranked team. Look, this team they have a solid defense. I love their running back, Tavon Thomas for Utah is a monster. Cameron Rising's back. I like what they have. They probably have the best 1-2 punch at tight end in the country. I just think Utah's too much. I think Florida is going to put up a hell of a fight, but I'm taking Utah to cover the spread minus 2.5. I think they go into the Swamp, and I think they win by more than a touchdown.
So do you think this spread is too small? 2.5 is kind of disrespectful to Utah?
I think the spread should be like, if you really wanted to be competitive, I would say 8.5.
Really? Wow.
I
So
do.
is this more of like a crazy respect for Utah, or Florida's just not that good this year?
I think this is disrespectful to Utah because one, I think they're clearly the better team.
Yeah.
I think they're giving Florida a lot because it's a night game in the Swamp week 1. It's going to be hot. Anthony Richardson's getting a lot of buzz. Billy Napier's getting a lot of buzz. I just think right now this Florida, if this was last year's Florida team, like week 1, I would be like, all right, this is it. This is a perfect spread. But I think looking at what happened at the end of last year, how Utah finished, how Florida finished. I mean, dude, Utah was playing in the Rose Bowl and Florida was losing to UCF in a bowl game.
No, yeah. I mean, I it's definitely different scenarios how each team ended the season last year. I just think, I mean, Billy Napier, I really think he's a great coach. This is a huge test for him. Do you think he's the right guy in Florida? I think he's a good fit.
I think he's the perfect fit. I think.
It's just maybe a year too early for a matchup like this?
I do. I think next year is when they really start to make their run back to the East. I think right now this is Georgia. I think Georgia, Tennessee, and I'd say even Kentucky are a little bit better than Florida right now. I think recruiting wise, they're on pace. Anthony Richardson is a freak. I like what they have. Gavin Dexter. I like Cox at defensive end. I like Miller at linebacker. Trey Dean at corner coming back. So I mean, they have some pieces. I just think they're a year away, maybe even 2. So yeah, give me Utah with the points. Bond, what are you going with?
I do not know how to feel about this Florida team coming out the jump. Like Nick said, I do like Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be good in the next couple of years that he's there. I think he goes in the draft junior year.
Yeah.
But I like Utah too much not to take the spread here for them.
Do you have them in your playoff or no?
No.
No, I didn't think you did. Cruz and Wyatt, I believe, both do.
No, I have them going 11-1 with a loss to Oregon, winning the bowl game, and then playoff picture will be Alabama, Ohio State, Baylor, and Georgia.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I just couldn't remember. I mean, obviously, Cruz, I know you have him in your playoff. It's hard to pick against a team when you have them in your playoff. I mean, especially week 1. But, yeah. I mean, I think there's an aspect to it. You know, if you're Utah, is this almost a must-win for them? They got to go on the road to a really tough school to play. I mean, and a team that we don't really know too much about. You know, a lot of new pieces with this Florida team. Obviously, a lot of talent coming back. But, you know, first-year head coach, you know, a fresh quarterback starting. You know, there's a lot of, like, kind of unknowns with this. So we don't really know what we're going to get. You know, so if we don't know what we're going to get, Utah damn sure doesn't know what they're going to get, right? So I think that's kind of maybe reflective of this line as well, as like we have absolutely no idea. This could be a game where Utah comes in there and blows them off the deck, you know, and it's a 30-point win. Yeah. But, you know, it could also be really tight and Florida plays them close. You know, it's just we don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, Utah needs to go in and take care of business this game because as far as like non-conference games goes, like this is the big one. Their other non-conference games are Southern Utah and San Diego State. So they need to go in, make a huge statement win on national TV at 7 p.m. Eastern. I think they are their best shot. Look, I don't think this is USC's year. I've been very adamant about this, but Utah plays USC at home. They play UCLA in the Rose Bowl. That's not really much of a home field advantage. They don't have any tough away games. So, like, this is a huge chance to make a statement. If Utah gets past this game, they should win every game on their schedule from here on out. This is the biggest trap game on their schedule, and they get it week 1. And I think Utah knows that, hey, we are a championship caliber team. We are a playoff caliber team. We are better than Florida. We need to go in, punch them in the mouth at the line of scrimmage, which I believe they will. They will run the ball down their throat, and they will walk away with – I think they'll win by 10.
Yeah.
I think they're going to run away with this game in the fourth quarter.
I think I still got to go with my pick because I'm not going to change. But, I mean, this Utah team is built to go on the road and beat a team like Florida by 2.5. I mean, they got suffocating defense and a really good run game. I mean, that's kind of like the Alabama of old where they just kind of sucked the life out of the other team. Like they go on the road and just beat the hell out of you for 3.5 quarters till you give up, right? So I could definitely see Utah winning this game. I'm not going to I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I'm going Florida 2.5 at home.
Okay. All right. And Bond, what did you agree on? You said, yeah, you're going.
I'm taking Utah points. Yeah.
Okay.
Utah points. Okay.
All right. So All right, so Nick's the only one against it. So we'll move on to our next high key matchup of the day, which is Notre Dame versus Ohio State.
Can't believe we get this game week 1.
Week 1, I mean, wow. CJ Stroud, everyone's high profile pick to win the Heisman this year. Everyone saying it's either Alabama or Ohio State. We're going to see that week 1 in a huge matchup in the Horseshoe. I mean, I can't remember a matchup this big since probably Florida State, Alabama in 2017. Yeah. And the teams were ranked, 1 and 3, but I mean, that game really didn't live up to the hype. This game, I don't think lives up to the hype. I think this is actually going to be a kind of a blowout. I think Ohio State is going to handle Notre Dame. I think Ohio State, they started off slow last year. They didn't look good against Minnesota on the road last year. CJ Stroud struggled. Then you get beat at home by Oregon, and then you lose to your rival at Michigan away. You do end the season as Rose Bowl champions, and you got the hype. You have all the weapons around you. Defensively, I don't like Ohio State, but offensively, I think they're the best in the country. I think they're going to have the best offense in the country this year over Alabama, Texas, you name it. I think they are the best.
Yeah, Ohio State at home, it's hard to bet against them, especially. I mean, 17 points. I personally agree with you. This is disrespectful to Ohio State. This offense can put up 60 on anybody in the country. Notre Dame, I with this new head coach, I know he's brought a lot of swag to the program, which was being missed with Brian Kelly there, but and they do have a lot of talent. Like Notre Dame, just besides himself, is going to have a lot of talent at that school. But I just don't. I'm not a big believer in this coaching staff. I don't know if they have the caliber to necessarily get it done on a big stage like this, especially going to the Horseshoe, playing an Ohio State team this good. It's hard to bet against Ohio State this year. Ohio State minus 17. Got to take it.
I'm taking Notre Dame with the points, though.
Wow.
I'm saying
after everything,
I think 17 is way too much. 17
really at home?
Yes, I think. Now here's the thing: good. Notre Dame offensively, I don't know how they'll be. Defensively, I think they'll be good. I think they'll be solid. And it's the first game of the year, so I like defenses more in week 1 than I do offenses. I really do. Now you lose Olave and Garrett Wilson. 2 huge guys, and I know that they have Marvin Harrison Jr. and they have JSN, who we lit it up at the Rose Bowl. Like maybe one of the best wide receiver games I think I've ever seen from a college guy. But you go in week 1 as a new system, you're playing against guys that you're not familiar with. This is going to be a defensive team in Notre Dame this year. So I expect Notre Dame to come out and play hard. I still think Ohio State will win. I think 13 would be a better spread. I would probably take Ohio State, but I think 17.5 is just too many points in week 1, especially in a top 10 matchup. So,
I mean, to me, even with a good Notre Dame defense, right? I still think Ohio State puts up 35 to 42 points on this defense, and so then your question becomes, can a guy like Tyler Buchner get it done? Can he get you 20, 24, 28 points?
I think Ohio State's defense is suspect this year. They were suspect last year. They've been suspect the last couple of years. They've lost kind of their DBU like swagger with guys like, Marshawn Lattimore, Von Bell, Denzel Ward. This guy's coming out left and right. They didn't have that the last couple of years. They've been vulnerable to big plays. Like Oregon showed you that last year. They ran through them. Michigan ran through them. Utah with a walk-on freshman quarterback torched them last year.
That's true.
So I think Notre Dame has a chance to come in and score some points. I think this game's going to be more along the lines of I could see it being 42-30. I really could. I could see Notre Dame putting up some points. I could see maybe CJ Stroud getting a little careless, maybe throwing a pick 6. Maybe I don't see 17 though. I think Ohio State will win this game, and I think it'll be closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
But I see more realistic Ohio State winning around by 13. More likely 10.
I could definitely see this game being close down to the wire in the fourth quarter. Everybody's gonna be sweating the spread, and then I could see something crazy. 2 minutes left in the game, pick 6. Ohio State goes up 24. They cover. You know what I mean? It could be really close, and then something crazy happens at the end. We saw it with Alabama. I believe it was Tennessee last year. They had 28-point fourth quarter. I could totally see that being a thing where it was it's a close game, and then all of a sudden it isn't. And it's one of those where you look back and it's like, wow, it's a really good Notre Dame team that Ohio State beat by 28, but it was really close the entire time, right? So
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of an aspect where both of us can be right here. I still think Ohio State, it's hard to bet against that team, that offense this year. It's crazy.
Yeah, Bond, what are you feeling?
I'm taking Ohio here points.
Okay.
I think that they come back pissed. They lost to Michigan for the first time in like 9 years to end their season. Got snubbed out of the playoffs. Cincinnati made it and clearly shouldn't have. That was just a move by the
Very true.
CFP to try and sate more of the G5 fans about how they never have a chance to make the playoffs. And Cincinnati proved that they didn't belong there when Alabama blew them out of the water last year. Like you said, they almost lost to the Utah's backup quarterback after their starter went down in the fourth during the Rose Bowl. But I think because of that, they'd come back even more pissed than if they would have just lost to Michigan alone. So
question with you though, like if Cruz, and this kind of go back to you, how Notre Dame, they'll play them tight. I mean, do you see CJ Stroud as like a Heisman favorite this year if he struggles against Notre Dame this early? Like, does that hurt his chances?
Yeah, because look, he's gonna have the key matchups. I mean, Michigan State, he's gonna get Michigan, he's gonna get Penn State. They're gonna have some more primetime games. So even if he does struggle week one, which I mean, it's tough. It's a new year. Sometimes you just don't, get out of the gate. Sometimes you don't get a tune-up game like Alabama does with Bryce Young this year, and in Utah State, like. And next week is their big game, which is Texas. But sometimes, like, if this game was week 3 and he struggled, then different story. Week 1, it's like, okay, tweak a few things, fix it, because that's what CJ Stroud did last year. Struggled halfway through the season, and then boom, he just clicked.
Lit it up. I mean, yeah.
And then he's out. He's up in New York. So I think CJ Stroud is. I think right now he's the second best quarterback in the country. I think right behind Bryce Young, and it's close. Like I love Bryce. I love Bryce, and I think he's incredibly talented. There are people who are probably going to want to draft CJ Stroud over Bryce when it comes draft time. Yeah. And I can see why. He's bigger. I think he has a bigger arm. He's not as accurate. But I mean, he definitely has some huge star potential, and he's got the weapons. So, and he had the weapons last year. I just don't think he really knew how to put it all together until halfway through the season. So I think CJ Stroud, even if he doesn't have like a Heisman type game, I still think he's going to end up in New York, unless, barring injury, knock on wood.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So, all right. So we're all in agreement. I'm the only one going Notre Dame with the points. Still think Ohio State wins. I think we're all on that. Our last game before we get into our ad read, Oregon versus Georgia in the Georgia Dome. Bo Nix, QB1 of the Oregon Ducks versus the defending national champions Stetson Bennett. That picture makes me sick.
Unreal.
For those listening to it, it's Stetson Bennett, the walk-on kissing the national championship trophy. This game, I think this game screams trap game. I really do.
I agree.
I loved Oregon's defense this year so much. I think they have two of the best defensive players in the country at linebacker. And Sewell and Eric Flowers. I am so high on them. I'm going Oregon with the points. Plus 17 is too many. I think Oregon is going to – I saw Oregon go into Ohio State last year and run through them. And that was an Ohio State defense that came off of a national championship game. Even though they didn't win, they made the national championship. Georgia, you lose key pieces off of not just a good defense, Nick, a historic, great, great, where you had, what was it? Was it 6 defensive starters go in the first round?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Unprecedented level.
It was insane. And so, look, I know they're returning some studs. I know that Kelly Ringo's back. I know that Nolan Smith is back. And then everyone is just talking about like the new guys coming in, like 5-star here, 5-star there. I get it. I think Georgia's still going to be really good. But man, I think Oregon is gonna give Georgia a little bit of trouble offensively. I think Georgia's gonna put up some points. I think offensively they're gonna score. Brock Bowers, I think, is the best tight end in the country by a landslide.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Brock Bowers is an absolute stud. I do love Flowers on Oregon though. I think he's a top 15 pick this year. I haven't heard just like a ton about him, but I remember me and you talking a little bit a couple days ago for a pre-show, and it was just like, this kid is unbelievable.
Go
I mean,
watch his highlight tape.
he's
it's
a
scary.
freak of nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not as good. I don't think he's as refined, but like think Will Anderson as far as like freak of nature. How does that guy move like that?
He's Kayvon. If you remember last year, everyone was so hyped about Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. I thought this kid was better last year. I do. I think he has arrived.
I think there's a lot of aspect to that where like maybe Kayvon made him better because everybody was focused on Kayvon, you know, that one of those type deals. But I mean, no, I agree with you. I think he has a lot of confidence coming into this year. I mean, he's going to have to be the guy on this Oregon defense to you know, hang with the big boys. I love Oregon. I'm with you. Me and you agree on this one. Plus 17.5 is too much for this Oregon. That's disrespectful to this defense. I think they definitely keep it close. And I would even go as far to say maybe sprinkle a little bit on the money line because I think Oregon has a legitimate chance to go in and beat Georgia in Atlanta.
That would be nuts. That week 1, you get the defending national champs losing in their backyard.
Yeah. 5.5 to 1 is the money line bet right now. So it's worth it. I'd say, you know, a little half a unit on it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Now, you know, I would love to see it. I think it'd be fantastic. I think it would be great. But it's hard for me to it's really hard for me to pick that. I think I got to go Georgia. Obviously, I'm taking Oregon with the points, but I got to go Georgia in this game until the defending national champ gets knocked off. If this was in Oregon, like if this is in Eugene,
yeah,
probably. But it's in the Georgia Dome. That's a far trip for Oregon too.
It is. It's a long ways. I mean, you got to imagine like. Obviously, you know, them coming off a national championship, target on your back, you know, this date has been circled on Oregon's calendar the entire year. This is, I mean, just as much as we said Utah, this is a must win for them. If Oregon goes in there and knocks Georgia off week 1, I mean, they are immediate playoff favorites. Immediately.
No one expected them to go into Ohio State last year and win. No one.
Exactly.
It's
nobody.
Bond called it. Bond was the only one who called it.
Bond called Oregon to go to the playoffs last year. Now, he was wrong about that one, but he did call about Ohio State, no doubt.
Yeah. So, Bond, where are you going with? You're the Oregon Duck lover on here.
Yeah. All right. This is my game to watch this week.
Yes. Come on, do it.
All right. Yeah. I'm taking Oregon with the points, but
clean sweep.
Come on.
I want to say, all right. I think Oregon can win this game. Oregon can very easily win this game.
Easily.
Wow.
No respect to Georgia.
They have the 2 best inside linebackers from the 2020 draft class starting on their defense. Georgia's offense was lackluster last year to begin with. They're gutted at defense. They have some good like returning players coming back, but it's not anywhere near the caliber they had last year. Your really only offensive weapon that's stuck out is Brock Bowers. And I think if you double cover him with one of those inside linebackers and safety help over the top, you can pretty much take him out of the game. And I think that I think that Oregon covers 100%. Like I'm taking that bet personally, but I'm agreeing with Nick here. Sprinkle some on the money line for Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, for the fun of it. I mean, just for the fun.
I think they have an over 50% chance to win this game.
Wow.
I love it.
It's not even like even. Holy cow. That's a pick. Now, I will say this, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a prove it year for Kirby Smart and this Georgia team. Nick Saban at Alabama, we all know it's not a rebuild, it's a reload. Now, granted, last year was a rebuilding year, but it's not a rebuild, it's a reload. But this is a prove it year for Kirby, right? Yeah. If you want to be compared to Alabama and Nick Saban after winning a national championship and losing a generational defense the way they did, can you reload and come back even better the next year? I'm not so sure they can do that, which is why I'm saying sprinkle a little bit on the money line. I think they have a little bit of a letdown.
Okay. All right. So let's get into it. Obviously, we're making all these picks on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL and college football week 1 with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official betting partner of the Oxford podcast. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game. $5, guys. And get $200 in free bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook but now. Use promo code BOOT, that's B-O-O-T, to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code BOOT. Only on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sponsor of the Oxford podcast. Let's go. And we're doing that this year. We're actually doing something fun. And Nick, please explain to everybody and the listeners who's listening and watching what we're doing, because we want to give you guys some free money.
Yeah, sure. So fun segment, guys. A new thing me and Cruz have been thinking of this offseason. Really good way for you guys to get involved with us. What we're going to do is going to be the pay for the drinks parlay, right? Every single week, every single preview show, we're each going to pick our lock of the week, right? We're all going to pick different games against the spread, no crazy money lines. We're not going to get cheap with it. We're going to have to go 4 legs, 4-0. If we go 4-0 and you bet with us on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and you bet with us, whatever limit, you can bet $1, you can bet $5, $10, whatever you want to do. As long as you bet with us under BOOT, promo code BOOT on DraftKings Sportsbook app, you will have a chance to enter to win a $100 cash giveaway weekly. If we go 4-0 and you bet with us and you post your ticket underneath our tweet on Sunday, you'll be entered to win a giveaway. I'm personally funding it, $100. So I'm going to be betting every single parlay, every single week. 4 legs, hopefully we're as good as what we're going to talk about, right? We're pretty good gamblers, hopefully, and we can all win some money together. So DraftKings Sportsbook app, download, use promo code BOOT, come bet with us. Let's make all a little money. Cruz, I'm going to pass it off to you. What is your lock of the week?
Boom. Yeah. So my lock of the week, and we've already talked about it a little bit. I'm going Utah -2.5 against Florida. I think it's easy money. I actually think it's probably my favorite bet of the week. I had a couple I wanted to go with, but I'm so high on Utah this year. I'm going Utah -2.5. Don't overthink it. They're one of the best teams in the country. Let's go.
Okay. Awesome. Bon, what you want to do?
Like I said, my game of the week is Oregon at Georgia, and I think that Oregon covers the spread of +17. I personally think that's a little disrespectful and a little too respectful to Georgia's offense, especially after what we saw last year.
Okay, sounds good. Wyatt, you want to come out of your cave and give us your bet?
Don't overthink it, guys. This team was in the college football playoff last year, but they lost just about every factor that made them a really good team last year. They're on the road heading south to Fayetteville for their week 1 game. I've got Arkansas -6.5 as my lock.
That's a great bet. That's a great bet. Arkansas is going to be so good this year. I'm gonna close it, guys. This is a team that everybody isn't really hype on. I know I personally am. I might be alone in this boat, but my lock of the week is gonna be South Carolina -12.5. I really, really, really love Shane Beamer. I think he's a great coach. You're catching Shane Beamer right now on his come up. This isn't his top. He's still coming up. He's getting recruit after recruit after recruit. He's a great on the field coach just as much as he is a recruiter. And I think he has a great chance, and nobody has given this team respect. 12.5 against Georgia State is disrespectful. At home, I know it's going to be early. It's going to be hot, but Shane Beamer, South Carolina, -12.5 is my lock. So with that being said, guys, all of those bets, you parlay them on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You bet alongside with us. I know we're all going to take these bets. If you all bet with us, you'll have a chance to win a $100 cash giveaway. It's as easy as that. If we win, you win.
Exactly. So we're giving you free money. So
just to run it down again for clarity, all at once: Utah -2.5, South Carolina -12.5, Oregon +17, and Arkansas -6.5.
Who's going to be the one this week to ruin it for us? Because there's going to be somebody, and there's going to be a week where we're going to go 3-1, and somebody's going to mess it up for us by doing something stupid. I genuinely feel like it's that Utah game. That 2.5 is going to be the one that kills us. No kidding.
I hope not, man. I really do. So we're excited about this. We want to get you guys involved. You guys have been fantastic with everything that we've been doing this offseason, and we really want to repay you guys by giving you free money. So thank you again to Boo Crew and DraftKings Sportsbook app for making this happen. Let's get back into it. Wyatt actually touched on it as his lock of the week. We're going Arkansas, the surprise of the year last year, in my opinion. Them and Michigan State were the surprise of the college football scene, especially in the SEC, versus Cincinnati, of the 4 seed in the college football playoffs. They lose everybody. Their quarterback's now playing on Nick's favorite team. You got Sauce Gardner in New York, and I mean everything's spread. I think this is probably one of the easiest bets of the week you can make. I got Arkansas in a landslide. I think Arkansas is going to be fantastic this year. I think at worst they finish 3rd in the SEC West. I think KJ Jefferson is a fantastic quarterback. I like what they returned. There's no Treylon Burks, so that's the one downside. Who's going to step up at tight end? But I like what they have at linebacker and Drew Sanders and Bumper Pool. I like their running back. I think that this team is talented enough to beat everyone on their schedule not named Alabama.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be an easy win.
They have enough talent on the field. Now granted, they did leave Burks, which is a tough loss. That guy is super, super talented. I think the key to this game is you got Arkansas at home. Arkansas at home, it can do some real damage. That's a hard place to go in there and play. That's a really, really rabid fan base that are passionate. They've been down, they've been bad for many, many years, and they're on the come up with Sam Pittman now. I love Arkansas here. I really, really do. I don't get Cincinnati. I don't understand them. They lost so much. They lost their quarterback. It's a complete rebuild for them. I expected this spread to be 14.5, 15 points, truly. And to get it at 7 almost feels like Vegas wants you to bet 7, and it's not going to be, it almost feels like that. But I think don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't overthink it. This is as easy money as easy gets. Arkansas minus 6.5 at home. You have to take that. Vaughn, what you got?
I'm also taking Arkansas minus 6.5. Like everyone said, Cincinnati lost too much for them to be successful, in my opinion. However, Cruz did say that he thinks that they can beat everyone on their schedule but Alabama. I disagree. I think that they drop the game either to A&M or Mississippi or Ole Miss.
Oh, I was at Mississippi State. I was like, whoa,
no,
that's a take. That's a take.
I think that they lose to A&M or Ole Miss. They coin flip them.
They truly have enough talent to compete with anybody in the country. Like compete.
Oh,
now,
100%.
I don't know, right? Like I mean, Alabama playing them on the road this season, that game actually kind of gives me a little bit of a worry because that game was a lot closer than what it really needed to be last year. And I granted, Alabama's going to be better this year, and Arkansas, I think, may have stayed about the same, maybe taken a small step forward. But I think they truly do have a lot of talent on that team, and it's a very, very well coached team. I really like Sam Pittman. I think he's a great on the field coach. So yeah, I mean, 6.5 is just crazy disrespectful. I can't believe that spread.
Yeah, I think that's coming off of, again, the CFP hype, or the hype that the CFP gave Cincy last year. They did not deserve to be in the playoffs. It was fun to see them in.
Was it though?
I don't really think it was.
I mean, you can't tell me during the selection show it wasn't hype as hell to see Cincinnati make it.
I just saw our next victim.
Yeah.
When they were playing, 100%. But it was still cool to see somebody not Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, and Ohio State in the playoffs. But I do think that is them being in the playoffs last year is impacting the line and why it's so low this year.
I think honestly it was the popular pick to put him in, but I mean, if you go and watch the game, that was a boring game. I mean, B-Rob ran for 200 yards.
Oh my God. I was in Madison and waiting for my friends to get off work because they're all adults now and I'm still in college.
Stay.
And I was sitting at a bar with just some randoms, and we were all just talking about how boring this game was. And everyone was like, yeah, they have no they have no business being here. Great team for a G5 program, but when it comes down to it, you're going to struggle to compete against those Power 5 schools who play better competition than you week in and week out. And that's
right. And that's the thing. I mean, like iron sharpens iron in this game. I mean, I think we can all agree there. But if you're playing like piece of shit teams week in and week out, but then you wake up against Arkansas, like you're going to get hammered that game. And Arkansas is playing like LSU, A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama every week. Like there's a point in time where the cracks show. And Cincinnati, I agree. Like I think it was the popular pick to put them in just to get a different face in there. But man, as an Alabama fan, it was the playoffs, and I hardly watched the second half of that game just because it was so boring.
Yeah, it was rough. It was not exactly how I want to spend my New Year's Eve. I thought it was a pretty. Honestly, both those games were pretty boring. Cincinnati and Bama and Michigan and Georgia. I mean, just pretty disappointing.
Georgia killed them too. Yeah, sure.
So now let's get to our team, the national runner-ups, but the defending SEC champs, the Alabama Crimson Tide, play Utah State. And this spread is something else. 41.5 in favor of the Alabama Crimson Tide. I love this team this year, but 41.5 points is a lot to give. And I know how talented this offense is going to be. And I know our depth chart came out, looks like we're going to be pretty okay, a wide receiver, I think so. I was surprised the freshman Kobe is getting the start.
Yeah.
Not expecting that. I told you a couple of weeks ago on the SEC West preview show, he's a name to watch out for. I just didn't think it would be this soon. But yeah, Trayshawn Holden's also going to be a wide receiver. And of course, we've heard nothing but great things about Burton. Gibbs is starting at running back. No surprise there. No Cameron Latu. He's still dealing with that injury. So we're going to see a couple new tight ends. Steen, the transfer from Vandy, is going to be starting at left tackle. I'm excited to see this defense. I was actually pretty shocked to see Kool-Aid McKinstry be the CB1 instead of Eli Ricks. But I think that's more of just a rotation thing. I think it's just him getting his feet wet, getting the playbook down. So I'm excited to see. I think this defense looks filthy. I'm excited to see what we do. The thing about these games, Nick, and if this was a bigger game, like if this was Texas or anything like that and the spread was about like 20, I would take it. The thing I don't like about these games is that they always just seem to give up a garbage touchdown that ruins the spread in the last couple of minutes of the game. That's why I'm going Alabama to win easy, but I am going to take Utah State to cover at 41.5. It's just tough. You won't get rich betting against Alabama, and you won't get rich betting on Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll never go broke betting on Alabama, though.
That's true.
I know, but 41.5 is a lot. I think this game is a tune-up game. They're getting ready for that huge showdown in Austin, which me and Bond are going to be at. Can't wait to be there. I think this game is just, hey, get up by 28, take everyone out, don't risk the injuries.
Cruz, I'm going to ask you a question. Nick Saban has been at Alabama for 15 years. Do you know what his record against the spread in opening games?
In opening games?
In opening games against the spread. I'm
going to go this is going into the 16th year, right? But he's played 15. So
correct. Played 15.
13-2. I'm going to go 13-2.
He is 13-2. You
is he
nailed
really?
it. You nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah,
okay.
13-2 against the spread in opening games.
Wow.
You do not give Nick Saban and this coaching staff 2, 3, 4 weeks to prepare for you and not expect them to cover the spread. I mean, Alabama is a freak. They got a ton of talent all over the place. But when it really comes down to is a coaching staff, Alabama's got the best coaching staff in the country. They prepare for games like no other. It's very, very rare that you ever see a Nick Saban coach team get outcoached on the field. The only thing that really makes me nervous about this spread is not wanting to get people hurt, so we pull starters. And hell, I could see it in the first half that we pull starters. I could see us scoring like 42 in the first half, and then pulling everybody, and maybe we score 14 in the second half. It gets really boring. Like you said, give up a garbage touchdown that ruins the spread for us. I still, just based on statistics and what I've seen and what I've heard, got to take Bama minus 41.5. You just have to. I feel like, and I'll never, ever, 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 ever bet against Alabama. I can't do it. It's not my blood.
So the thing about that, Nick, that I don't have a problem with, and you're right. I think that's completely crazy. By the way, that was a total guess. By the way, with the opening day,
I looked that up before the show just solely for this, and I thought I was going to get you because I thought you were going to be like, oh, he's like 10-5, 9-6, 13-2. Unreal.
I don't know what I do. No. So look, I think you're right. I think this is it's hard to bet against it, Nick, but here's my dilemma that I'm having. If you go back and look at the last couple of opening day games, they're not playing against the likes of Utah State at a
Sure.
spread this big. They're playing against last year. It was Miami. The year before in 2020, it was Missouri in an SEC kickoff. The year before, it was, I believe, Duke. The year before was Louisville. The year before was Florida State. The year before was USC. The year before was Wisconsin. The year before was West Virginia. The year before was Virginia Tech.
Okay, you're showing off now. Stop.
I'm sorry. The year before was Michigan. I know. And I'm not even looking at my computer screen about this. This is just
No, I know. No, off the dome.
They're playing legit teams where the spread was probably in, like, I don't know, at most like 20.
Yeah.
41.5 is a lot. Like, I'm trying to think of teams. I'm trying to imagine what spreads they didn't cover. Like, I'm probably
it was 07, and I want to say it was 2010. I'm trying to remember. It was a couple days ago when I was looking it up.
Yeah.
But it was one of the early years where, like, obviously, you know, we're not dropping 40, 50 points a game. This was like back when like 21-10 was kind of Alabama, and it was like an 8.5 point spread or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that. So that's the only dilemma I'm having. Like, if this was like in the middle of the season, I would be like, yeah, probably. But opening week, not trying to get everyone hurt. Huge matchup against Texas and Austin the next week. I say they get up by 28, maybe even 21 at this point, where they're knows like, hey, they're not going to be able to do anything. I watched UConn run all over them. Like, I saw a running back get almost 200 yards of rushing. I think he had like 190, if I'm not mistaken. And just like against this Utah State team that won 11 games last year. So I just think 41.5 is too much. Bon, what are you thinking, man?
I'm taking Utah with the points here. Like, it's been touched on. I think we just give up some garbage time touchdowns. We pull starters starting in the first half, like Nick said. Just because, do we really want to risk Rice or Will Anderson or Burton going down in game one? No. And I don't think this team is going to give us enough of a problem to warrant keeping starters in for very long. And we also need to work on our second string reps for games later in the season, just to preemptively prepare for when these injuries inevitably do happen. So I think that we run it up early, and then Saban starts pulling starters. I do think we are going to see some Jalen Milroe.
Yeah,
I can say that. Yeah, but see, that's the thing. He's so good too. He's completely capable of putting up points too.
Well, he'll most likely be our starter next year.
Right. So, and he's playing, against. He's trying to, secure that starting job. So he's going to come in playing with his head on fire. But that's the thing is like, do we go reserve play calling? Do we let him open it up?
That's where I'm. Once we start getting, or once we put Milroe in, I think that BOB does move us over to the more bread and butter play calling, just to shore up reps between Milroe in the backfield, shore up easy gimme passing routes like outs or slants. Short 5-6 yard games, and I think that we're just going to run that out and use the clock to our advantage in the second half.
Yeah. Okay. So it is what it is. Like, I guess we're just going to disagree on that. I mean, obviously, we're still picking Alabama to win.
Absolutely.
I think
I could totally see us not covering.
I think we have a 99.05 win percentage as of right now.
I'm surprised it's not higher than that, honestly. I'm surprised.
I think Utah State scores a garbage touchdown and ruins the spread. All right, the big Sunday night matchup gets its own night. LSU, FSU in the Superdome. I can't wait. I'm going. I think this game is going to be electric. I think this is probably going to be one of the better games of the weekend. You got two up and coming teams. Florida State played last week against a school we had never even heard of, and probably gave us one of the best memes in college football history. And that lineman that looks like he had his pants pulled up to his nipples, but we all found out that it was just a perfectly placed Under Armour shirt. Yeah. Going up against first-year head coach Brian Kelly, they haven't announced a starter at quarterback. I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. You guys know that I'm high on LSU this year. I think they're going to win 9 games. I think they're probably going to be finished second or third in the SEC West. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but it's just what I believe. Florida State, I kind of want to see this kind of make or break year for Mike Norvell. They have some talent. I really like Jordan Travis, a quarterback. I think he is probably one of the more underrated players. I think he is what is keeping Florida State from being a 3-4, win team. He's trying to elevate them past that. And I think he has the capability of doing it. It looks like they have a 3-headed monster, a running back, 3 running backs running for over 100 yards last week. Very impressive. I like LSU in this game, and I like them at -3. I think LSU has so much talent on this team that not enough people are realizing this. Now, Kayshon Boutte is the best wide receiver in football. He is. I think he's better than Jordan Addison. I think he's better than JSN at Ohio State. I think he's better than Worthy at Texas. He's a physical freak, and I think he is going to put up scary numbers. And the thing about Jaden Daniels is if he ends up getting the nod at starter, he can roll out of the pocket. He can buy you time. He can get you downfield, and he can make you pull your hair out as a defense coordinator. Florida State, I know they got some guys, but I don't know if they have the guys yet. That's the problem. And so I really do like LSU to cover pretty easy, and I think Florida State will play hard, but I think they'll lose by a touchdown. So I still think LSU covers.
Yeah, no, to me, -3 for LSU, it doesn't make sense. I must be missing something about this Florida State team that I like I said, they're going to have guys just to spite themselves. They're going to be able to have 5-star talent on that team just because they, are stationed in Florida, and Florida is just a breeding ground for 5-star talent. And Florida State is just that name, right? And I know it carries a lot of weight. I think the key to me on this spread is going to be Brian Kelly. Yeah. Brian Kelly has gotten a lot of shit on the offseason from me personally. I've said it, obviously you probably never heard from me, but, there's been a good bit of people that have said this hire doesn't make sense culturally. Like, I don't know how this fits. He's not going to be able to recruit. I think this is a prove it game for him. I think he's going to run the freaking score up on Florida State. I think he's going to try to do his best to embarrass and let everybody know that LSU of, old with, 2018, 2019 LSU. I'm not saying they're going to go win a national championship, but I think he's going to try to make a statement on national television, right? Like you said, Sunday night game, like it's by itself. It's going to be in a vacuum. All eyes are going to be on LSU, Florida State. And it might as well be in your backyard, it being in New Orleans as well. Yeah. So you're going to have a crazy home field advantage there. It'll probably be 80-20 on the crowd. I think this has a true chance to be a blowout. Mm-hmm. I'm taking LSU in the points -3 because I truly feel like, Brian Kelly's just going to run the score up. He's going to try to make this a statement game. And I think we can all benefit from that, making some money out of it. Brian, what do you think about this one?
Oh, man. This one's tough.
You a big Florida State guy? I don't think it's that tough.
I think it is.
Yeah, but I do not like LSU this year. I do not. I think LSU wins, and just because the spread's so low, you got to take them.
Okay.
But yeah, FSU has a real shot to come in and win this game. I am not high on LSU this year. I think their ceiling is like 5-7.
Jesus. Good Lord. No respect. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you not hear Cruz talk about LSU?
I do, and I just don't agree with it.
Wow.
Okay. What about LSU?
What about specifically? Is it like Brian Kelly coaching, or is it like they don't have the talent?
Brian Kelly's the first-year coach. They don't have the talent. All of the dudes left. All of their studs left after Coach O got fired.
I'm not going to say you're wrong, but Cruz said Kayshon Boutte is the best wide receiver in the country. That's a stud if you can't see that.
We were trying.
Boutte's a stud, but who else on their roster is going to?
John Emery is a stud. I like Jaden Daniels is good. Like, please listen to me when I say
I do listen to you. I have to listen to you for an hour once a week.
I'm telling you, he's that guy.
But
I mean, you bet on him when he was at Arizona State and lost money. Let's be fair, but also he had nobody around him.
Herm Edwards and COVID lost me money.
It's
True.
Brian Kelly, which I do not like Brian Kelly as a coach. You take one of the most storied franchises in college, if not the most storied franchise in college football history, and you can't even win a bowl game.
He took him to two playoff games.
You can't win a New York 6 game.
Neither can
Notre Dame has not won a New Year's 6 game since like 2009.
Okay, so hold on.
He doesn't have the talent at Notre Dame that he has at LSU, and I'm saying that I don't like the guy.
Listen, what is Oklahoma's excuse? Oklahoma has made the playoffs multiple times and have won 0 games, and they have had way more talent than Notre Dame. Like the fact, look, my team just got rid of Ian Book. Thank God, because he was a god awful quarterback, and I'm so happy anymore. But that man, that Brian Kelly got Ian Book to the playoffs twice, and I know they lost to Clemson and Bama. But those teams went on to be historically great teams and win national championships. The 2020 Bama and 2018 Clemson are 2 of the top 10 teams of all time. And then you lose to 2012 Alabama, who had arguably the best 1-2 punch at running back in Eddie Lacy, TJ Yeldon. Their offensive line all went pro. It was the best offensive line in Bama history.
Probably ever, honestly.
Like on paper, they were all like 6'3", 6'4", DJ Fluker, Barrett Jones,
Anthony Steen,
Cyrus Quanjo. I mean, these guys were monsters. And Amari Cooper was a freshman. And the fact that he got them there, I know they got blown out. I get it. You can't hide that. But the fact he got them there with Notre Dame, where you have to get the guys admitted into school before they even can play. If that were the case, Randy Moss would have been a Notre Dame alum. And I think now Brian Kelly does not have the restraints of recruiting at LSU. And he's bringing in these dudes. He's winning Louisiana back. It's true. Like, it's on paper.
He didn't open
winning,
there.
I'm not going to fault him on that. He is winning Louisiana back now.
Yeah.
But Coach O had a stranglehold on Louisiana, and all those guys left.
He's not the on-field coach that Brian Kelly is.
I know he's not. I'm not saying
Coach O shouldn't even be the janitor at a coach. I mean,
Coach O was 100% a recruiting coach.
He was a CEO. He was a CEO.
He's a great CEO.
He's a fantastic CEO.
And I'm not faulting Brian Kelly. I think he's going to bring LSU back from the throes of, what did they go last season? 4-8, 3-9. I think he's going to bring them back. But to say that this isn't a rebuilding year for them, FSU's been rebuilding for 5 years.
FSU hasn't done shit for 5 years. LSU won a national championship 3 years ago.
Yeah. In 2018, they were a top 10 team. 2017.
LSU is the closest thing to what I've seen is Alabama being able to rebuild. Like they just reload with 5-star talent. Now, do they get the most out of them that I would say like Alabama and Georgia does? Probably not. But Louisiana, just like Florida, is a breeding ground for these recruits, man, and they all go to LSU. If Alabama doesn't want them, they go to LSU. There's just no question about that, right? So
yeah, but we're talking about a game 5 days from now. Brian Kelly did not start recruiting there until this summer.
I mean, look, it's
how many of the recruits that he actually pulled in from Louisiana are going to have an impact in this game?
No. Look, I'm not denying that. Look, again, he's gonna have to coach O's players. That is 100% true.
Right, and that's why I think that it's difficult to say that this game's going to be a blowout. I think that FSU has a reasonable chance to win this game because, sure, Brian Kelly's a great X's and O's guys. Yeah, he took Ian Book to the CFP twice. But he's not working with miracle. He's not working with the same caliber of people that LSU got gutted when Coach O got fired.
Yeah, but they still kept some studs though. They got guys on defense. Like they're like the thing is, Bond. Other than Derek Stingley Jr. losing him, huge loss. Yeah. Huge loss. I think he's probably going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think He already looks shut down. He would have gone number 1 in the draft in 2019 when he was a freshman. But they still got guys on that front seven, and the dudes that I think defensively they are always going to have guys like DB studs. Now, offensively, John Emery and Keishawn Butte are going to carry a lot of that weight. They're good. John Emery is a stud. I mean, do you not remember that LSU game last year in Tuscaloosa?
That's what I was about to say.
They ran that counter to death, and it worked every time.
Every time.
And I'm telling you, Keishawn Butte is going to be able. I think he wants Eli Ricks like one-on-one. I think that matchup in Baton Rouge is going to be huge. The offensive line is the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about with LSU, but defensively, I think they are going to cause havoc because they caused havoc last year. Like once Coach O found out he was getting fired, that team kind of just said, like, you know what? Let's go balls to the wall. Let's play guys that wouldn't normally play. Let's do this. Let's try that. And they went nuts, and they found their edge. They beat A&M last game of the year when they had no business winning. If it wasn't for Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, we probably lose because they were in the red zone twice in the last couple minutes. I think this LSU team is gonna be hungry. I think Brian Kelly is a coach that can take them over the top, and that's what scares me. Because Coach O never scared me as a coach. He had to have a generational great team to beat I would say above average Bama team in 2019 with a hurt Tua by 5 points.
Yeah,
Brian Kelly can get the most out of his guys, and that's what scares me. Not this year, but I think Brian, and I'm going to go on record saying this because I went on record on another podcast last week and said it. I think Brian Kelly wins a national championship in the next 5 years.
See, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't think he wins one with Nick Saban here.
Yeah,
I don't think he wins one here at LSU while Nick Saban's still at Alabama. I don't think that's just too tough.
I said the same thing about Coach O, and prove me wrong.
Well, you just said it took a top 5 quarterback in the NFL and a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now to win a national championship, and they had to go into Tuscaloosa and beat the team by 5 points.
Yeah. All right, I want to pose this question to you guys.
This is the most we've ever talked about LSU on the show, by the way.
Who wins a natty first? Kelly at LSU or Jimbo at A&M?
Kelly at LSU. 100%.
Kelly at LSU.
Yeah, I will say A&M's recruiting class this year, unbelievable, tons of studs. I just don't think Jimbo can put it all together to win. I mean, it took Jameis Winston, who I will admittedly say is a good quarterback and was a really, really good quarterback in college. It took Jameis Winston essentially to do that, and they almost got beat by Auburn, by the way. So,
all right, this is the most we talked about.
What is Cruz? No, I gotta know. What is your ceiling for LSU this year?
My ceiling is realistically 9-3, 10-2 at best. I think they have that kind of talent. I just want to see if they can put it all together. I think the highest they'll get is I think they'll get to second in the SEC West. I realistically think they'll finish third or fourth. I think Arkansas is better than LSU. I think Bama is better than LSU. I think Ole Miss is going to take a step back. And I don't like A&M. You know this. I think A&M is the most overrated team in the country. So
100%. The only reason they're ranked 6 is because they beat us last year.
Yeah, and I think LSU's schedule lines up perfectly for them to be in the top 10 this year, without it being kind of like, okay, like this is kind of a stretch because, like I said, we went over it in our SEC West preview show, and their schedule lines up to where, look, they open with Florida State. We all agree we think that's a win for them. Then they get Southern, Mississippi, and New Mexico at home in Baton Rouge. All think that's going to be, what, 4-0 right there? That's 4-0. Yeah. Then you get at Auburn. We all think Auburn's going to be bad this year. I got that as a win. Then you get Tennessee at home October 8th. Probably going to be a night game in Death Valley. That has upset written all over because Tennessee has hype this year. Then you get at Florida. I think LSU – That's kind of a toss-up game. I think LSU wins that. Then you get Ole Miss at home. I think LSU can pull that upset off against Lane Kiffin. Then you get a bye week going into the Alabama game. I think that's a loss. And then you have to go to Arkansas after that week, after a hard-fought game against Bama. I think that's another loss. And then you end the season with UAB and at A&M. So that schedule lines up for them to go 9-3 or at worst 8-4.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the floor is 8-4, ceiling is like 10-2. I don't think 10-2 is really going to happen. I think they trip up somewhere, but 9-3, I think is a definite bet for sure.
I have a
All right,
9-3.
we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this because I am
Okay,
not high on LSU this year.
Well, we'll end the show on this. There's one more game on Monday night to end the 3-day weekend, which I can't wait for. Clemson, everyone's pick. I guess that everyone forgot what happened in 2021 and they, lost multiple games and DJ was just a flat out awful quarterback. They're in the top 5 and they're going up against Georgia Tech in the Georgia Dome. God bless them. Spread is Clemson minus 21.5. Look, I know I have spent this offseason shitting on DJ Uyunglele, and I think Clemson is slightly overrated, and I think NC State's going to win the ACC. And I say that, and please, for the love of God, do not lose to East Carolina this weekend. I think Clemson covers this, and it's going to be easy. I think Georgia Tech's going to be a bad team this year.
Yeah. Georgia Tech's not going to be good. 21.5 is actually pretty respectful to this Georgia Tech team. Yeah. I could definitely see this being a really, really tough game. I mean, like it or not, I mean, Dabo Swinney with all of his off the field shenanigans. I mean, he's goofy. He's
all the shenanigans.
kind of cringe. Like he's just, but I mean, I think he's a good football coach. I think he can motivate his players. DJU, obviously he's a 5-star guy. He's never had a bad season like he did last year. So for a lot of reasons, I feel like Spencer Rattler bounces back at South Carolina. I feel like DJU bounces back a little bit. I don't think he's going to be a world beater. I don't see him as a Heisman favorite, but I think he does bounce back a little bit. He's not going to go out there and win a bunch of games, but I don't see him just going out there and losing games like he did last year. So yeah, I think Clemson covers the spread easily on a Monday night game.
That Georgia Tech's not going to be able to move the ball.
Not on this defense. This defense is too damn good.
It's disgusting. Bond, what are you feeling?
Y'all are killing me with this.
Killing you.
I gotta go because I hate Clemson.
Well, I hate Clemson too.
I hate Clemson too, man.
I like money.
But I was about to say, I'm trying to win some money here.
Yeah, I gotta go Clemson here. Outside of the Georgia game, they were averaging like 28, 29 points a game last year. With the major outlier being that Georgia game. So as a stats guy, I got to go Georgia Tech. I don't think Georgia Tech's going to put up a lot of points in this game. They lost Gibbs, who was the workhorse of that offense last year. And as much as I don't think DJU is going to be a successful NFL product, I do think that he will be enough to lead Clemson to at least 22-point win over Georgia Tech this week.
All right. Well, that's it. So just a quick recap of our picks and our lines so you can follow along with us. I have Utah covering the spread at -2.5. I have Notre Dame covering the spread at +17. I have Oregon covering the spread at +17. I have Utah State covering the spread against Alabama at 41.5. I have Arkansas easily covering at -6.5. I have LSU covering at -3, and I have Clemson covering against Georgia Tech at -21.5.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off going a little bit different. Florida +2.5 at home. Ohio State -17. Oregon +17, I think, is a lock. Sprinkle the money line. Alabama -41.5 at home. Arkansas -6.5 at home, I think, is a stone cold lock. I think LSU at home on that Sunday night game, all eyes. Brian Kelly's going to wipe the floor with them. And then Clemson runs away with the game in Georgia Tech in Atlanta, 21.5. I think this game could be 30, 35 plus.
All right. I have Utah covering the spread against Florida. I have Ohio State covering the spread against Notre Dame. I just put $10 on Oregon money line. So that's my pick for that one. I do have Utah State covering against Alabama at -41.5. Arkansas covers against Cincinnati at -6.5. LSU covers the spread at -2.5. And then Clemson covers over Georgia at -21.5.
I feel like we got a pretty diverse selection of picks, right? I feel like we do. I mean, it's tough. Yeah. Week one's tough. I mean, it really is because this is where you find out how your team's looking to shape up. Now, before we end the show, I do want to go over one thing, and it's probably one of the more interesting things of the week. The Michigan quarterback battle.
Yeah.
Like Jim Harbaugh basically just saying like, hey, I'm going to play one guy 1 week. I'm going to play the other guy the next week. And week 3, I'm just going to figure it the hell out. I think this is a terrible idea. Yeah. I think if anything, it's going to divide the locker room. Look, these guys are immensely talented, obviously, to go play college football at Michigan. J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara. You're a playoff team from last year. You return quite a bit of guys on offense. I don't know, man. This is tough. I mean, a part of me really does want to go with Cade McNamara. I think this guy has the bigger ceiling. But, I mean, look, Jim Harbaugh is, quote-unquote, the QB whisperer. Apparently, he just knows his stuff when it comes to it. He discovered Colin Kaepernick when he kind of came out of nowhere. He discovered Andrew Luck. I don't know. I think I'm going to lean more. Oh, man. I don't know. I'm like second guessing myself. No, I'm gonna go Cade McNamara on this.
Go with
side.
Experience. I think that's the right bet.
Yeah.
So who do we know starting week 1? Cade starting week 1, right?
That is.
I'm pretty sure Cade's starting week 1. You touched on it.
Cade is starting week 1.
Yeah. I think you touched on it. It's a very, very good point. This is a tough visual for Jim Harbaugh. Like he's dividing the locker room, man. And it's, to me, when this came out and I saw this get released as a statement, to me, it's just like, we don't know what the hell we're going to do. Like, we have no idea. Are these guys the same? Is this more of like Cade taking a huge step back, that this new guy's coming in and showing him up? Or is this new guy like the reincarnation of Steve Young? Like, we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea like what the competition is like. Is it more of like, hey, this young guy's much better than Cade, but like Cade has the locker room because he has the experience? Do you go with the experience in your first game? I think that's what they ended up deciding on doing, but it's an open QB battle. So, fair play to them. I don't know how much this really affected the spread at 30.5. I almost took it as my lock just because just the off the field stuff that's happening. It's not great for a unifying unit of a football team. So I was going to take Colorado State plus 30.5. I think I would still take that bet just because I think there was a lot of this that is questionable, but I think you still got to rock with Cade, man. He's the one that got you to the playoffs last year. He probably has the locker room. I think you got to ride with your experienced guy.
I agree. Difficult to just even though they did get blown out by Georgia, difficult to overlook the experience that someone who does lead Michigan to their first CFP appearance, just having that experience, I think that Cade will come out of this QB battle being the week 1 starter unless JJ balls out week 2 and drops 400 yards. It's gonna take a lot to upset Cade here, and I think that Harbaugh should have came out and just gone with his gut, gone with the experienced guy. Said Cade's gonna be week 1 starter for the season, and if it doesn't pan out and it gets to like week 6 or 7, and it's very clear we're not gonna make the playoffs, then maybe we start shuffling JJ in more, maybe running split offense. But to start the season out, this is not a note you want to start the season on, and I think it's going to come back to bite Michigan.
Well, I don't think Harbaugh exactly has the best relationship with this team right now, especially after basically taking the Minnesota Vikings job and then kind of saying no.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about this Michigan team I don't like this year. They have a weird feeling. I think they're going to finish 3rd in their division. I think it's going to be Ohio State, Michigan State, and then Michigan. I think Michigan State owns Michigan the last couple of years, and I think Ohio State is the second best team in the country. You can make the case for them being number 1 coming out preseason, but Michigan right now just feels kind of lost. It isn't like their identity is gone. Like I can think of, like I would, if they played Michigan State and Michigan played week 1 this week, I'm taking Michigan State, not even thinking twice about it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah. I wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement there. So that's going to wrap it up. But before we wrap it up, I kind of want Wyatt to give me his picks because he's been in the cave and he's done a fantastic job feeding us stats. He's done a great job in the background. Wyatt, give me your locks. You already gave me Arkansas, Cincy, so give me your other picks.
I'm taking Arkansas. I'm taking Utah to cover. Utah's been practicing with a loud environment indoors with the heat cranked up to try to emulate playing in the swamp. I don't know how well that's going to work, but there's a reason I have Utah on my CFP.
There you go.
I'm going to take Ohio State covering against Notre Dame. I think
I'm
that
the only
offense
one
is
taking
just
Notre Dame. Wow.
I think that offense is just too electric. Marvin Harrison Jr., JSN, Travion Henderson, and CJ Stroud's just got to stand back there and not look stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
It's actually
LSU, this is in their backyard. I mean, what more can you say? I'm thinking the crowd's going to be like 90-10. I mean, you know how LSU travels in the Superdome. I'm taking LSU there. And Clemson, yeah, I'm going to take Clemson to cover that one as well, just because, like Bond said, Georgia Tech's workhorse last year was Jahmyr Gibbs, and now he's playing in Tuscaloosa. They've really got nothing. So, and I think Clemson's defense is just going to rock some poor kid.
Yeah.
Who do you have covering Bama or Utah State at 40 and 41?
That's the tricky one. And I'm going to say Utah State just because the same issue. Bama's got a big matchup the next week. The worst thing in the world would be you're up by 35 and you're just pouring it on, and Bryce takes a hit to the back of the knee. Now all of a sudden you're entering a matchup with Texas and Steve Sarkisian with Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson.
I'd still take Bama.
I'd still take
I would
Bama.
too.
That's the crazy thing. I would still take them.
You would completely derail any hope Bama has this season. So knock on wood. Obviously, we hope injuries don't happen, but I could see Bama pulling the starters even middle of the third quarter. Anderson could have 3 sacks. We're up by 21, and he's the first guy they'll pull.
Yeah. It's not wrong.
Protect the bag.
All right. Well, boom. There you have it. That is our week 1 preview. We will be back next Monday to go over week 1. We are hoping you guys have a great Labor Day weekend. We're hoping you guys are doing the DraftKings Sportsbook app challenge with us. We want to buy you some drinks. We want to win you some free money. By the way, if you guys are looking for fantastic collegiate apparel this weekend to rock for your team, make sure you go to ChristopherMobley.com and use promo code CRUZ, CRUZ, at checkout for 15% off your first order. They have the best collegiate apparel in the country from SEC, ACC, Big 12, and yes, sometimes we'll even include the Pac-12. So make sure you go to ChristopherMobley.com. Christopher Mobley, join the mob. Boom. That is going to do it for our show. You can find me along at The Real Cruz Ox on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure that you follow the Oxford podcast as well, along with Boot Crew Media. We love Boot Crew. They keep us in check. And we're excited. I can't believe we're here, boys.
Finally here. Drop a follow at nperkins96 and the Oxcord Pod on TikTok. A lot of fun stuff going on over there. Just past 800, by the way. So super, super hyped about that. Shout out Bond for getting everything going on there. Bond, what you got?
You can follow me.
Stats right now.
I am checking your stats. We're at 792 on talk right now.
Oh man,
Almost
I thought I
800.
saw 8. My bad. 7. Well, we can get there by the end of this. I think we can do it.
Yeah. But you can follow me on Twitter at BondSnow_, and then we're going to be starting a new weekly preview show where we show or highlight QB matchups that we think are going to be important to watch during the week, to preview week 1, week 2, all that stuff. So go ahead and drop us a follow over at Oxford Podcast on TikTok.
Boom.
You guys drop a follow at the Oxford Pod on Twitter. I get to say it twice a week now. The Twitter account is bigger than Nick's account.
Yeah, let's go.
I get to do it twice a week. I'm so excited for that. You guys drop a follow on Instagram too. We just passed 1,000. Thank you guys so much for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We love you guys, and we will see you next week.